the streets of love and hip-hop are buzzing like never before. And trust me, this time, it's not just petty drama. It's a full-blown scandal. Imagine this, a leaked phone call, voices whispering in the shadows, accusations flying like daggers, and at the center of it, all Mendeecees, Kirk Frost, and young Jock tangled in a web of betrayal so wild that fans don't even know what's real anymore. Word on the street is that Mendeecees, who has always been seen as the calm businessman of the crew, might have been the mastermind setting up Kirk and Jock in a fake illegal drug operation. Yes, you heard that right, fake. But the consequences, oh, they're as real as it gets. In this leaked call, voices tremble, tempers flare, and shocking secrets spill out like gasoline on an open flame. Kirk, who's already been through storm after storm with Rashida, finds himself staring down yet another betrayal. Young Jockmeister smooth talker himself is caught off guard, his laughter gone, replaced with confusion and fury. And Mendeecees, his calm tone suddenly doesn't sound so calm when fans are piecing together the puzzle and realizing he might have been orchestrating everything from behind the scenes. The fans are shook. Social media is on fire, families are divided, friendships are breaking, and alliances are shifting like quicksand. Was this all a setup for clout? Was Mendeecees desperate to protect his own image and willing to sacrifice his so-called brothers? Or was this an even bigger play that none of them saw coming? Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain and exposing every jaw-dropping twist in this scandal. Buckle up, because this story is about to take you on the ride of your life. The leaked call begins in the most unexpected way, almost as if fate itself wanted the truth to come out. The crackling audio, faint at first, slowly grows clearer, and the voices on the line send shivers down the spines of fans who got their hands on it. Mendeecees' voice is the first to be heard, low and calculating, a tone fans aren't used to hearing from him. He's speaking in coded phrases, but the intent is crystal clear to anyone paying attention. He's plotting, setting the stage for something that would shake the entire love and hip-hop world to its core. If they take the bait, Mendeecees mutters, we won't even have to lift a finger, they'll bury themselves. The chilling calmness in his tone doesn't match the man fans once thought they knew. The devoted family man, the businessman trying to rise above the chaos. Instead, this sounds like a mastermind spinning a web. The audio then catches Kirk's name. Mendeecees doesn't realize the call is being recorded, and he lays out details of how Kirk and young Jock are about to be lured into a fabricated drug case. It's not just business, it's personal. Kirk thinks he's slick. Mendeecees continues, always trying to play both sides, but I'm gonna show him what happens when you cross me. At that very moment, social media lit up with fans replaying the clip, their jaws dropping as they heard Mendeecees mention Jock too. The betrayal felt heavy. Kirk and Jock had shared laughs, business deals, and countless moments on camera. And now fans were questioning if it was all just smoke and mirrors, hiding a deadly feud. Meanwhile, behind the cameras, the tension was boiling. Kirk had already been juggling his fragile marriage with Rashida, trying to keep his image together despite years of rumors, cheating scandals, and whispers about his loyalty. For him, the idea that someone he considered part of the circle might be setting him up was almost too much to bear. Rashida's reaction was immediate and explosive. I told you, she shouted in their Atlanta home, pacing across the living room. I told you not everybody smiling in your face is your friend. Her voice cracked with both anger and fear. Kirk, sitting with his head in his hands, could barely find the words. Rashida, you don't understand. If this is real, they ain't just coming after me, they coming after us. Our family, our name, everything. On the other side of town, young Jock was dealing with the leak in his own way. Known for his comedic personality and ability to laugh through the pain, Jock wasn't laughing now. The call had spread faster than wildfire, and his phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Yo, what the hell is this? He yelled into his phone during a heated call with his manager. They got my name all over this, like I'm some damn kingpin. Mendeecees for real. I thought we was cool. His usually playful tone was replaced with raw fury. Even his fiancée Kendra couldn't calm him down. She tried, rubbing his shoulders as he paced the room, but Jock's pride had been wounded. Nah, Kendra, this ain't just no rumor. This is my name, my reputation. People gonna look at me sideways, thinking I'm out here pushing drugs like I ain't got a career. Like I ain't built something for myself. As the leaked audio continued circulating, fans dissected every single word. Posting theories online, debating Mendeecees' motives. Was it jealousy? Was it business rivalry? Or was there something deeper? Some hidden vendetta dating back to the early days of their careers. The whispers grew louder, and suddenly, old conflicts began resurfacing. People recalled arguments between Kirk and Mendeecees over money, deals gone sour, and behind-the-scenes beef that never made it to air. Young Jock's carefree attitude had rubbed some the wrong way too. And now fans were wondering if Mendeecees had finally decided he'd had enough. The storm only intensified when another clip surfaced, this time of Kirk on a frantic phone call with Stevie J. His voice trembled with rage. "Bro, you hearing this? You hearing what he's doing? He's trying to frame me." Man, Stevie, never one to shy away from drama, immediately fanned the flames. "Kirk, you better check him before he checks you. This ain't no small-time drama. This the type of thing that gets people locked up, lives ruined. You ready for that?" Kirk's silence on the other end spoke louder than words. He wasn't ready. He wasn't ready for this kind of battle. Not with someone who knew so much about him. Not with someone who once sat at his table like family. And then came the confrontation. Kirk and Jock agreed to meet up with Mendeecees in a private lounge, away from cameras, away from prying eyes. The air was thick with tension, and every second felt like it could erupt into violence. Jock slammed his fist on the table the second Mendeecees walked in. "Yo, tell me this ain't true. Tell me you ain't out here dragging my name into some fake drug mess." Mendeecees.com, as ever, leaned back in his chair, smirking just slightly. "Y'all believe everything you hear on the internet now," he replied, his tone dripping with arrogance. "You think I'd waste my time setting y'all up? Man, y'all got me twisted." But his eyes betrayed him, a flicker of guilt flashing before he quickly masked it with composure. Kirk wasn't buying it. His voice cracked with anger and hurt. "I put trust in you. Man, I let you in my house, my life, and you gonna do this to me, to my family?" Rashida's words echoed in his head, fueling his rage. Jock leaned forward, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "If this is your game, just know I ain't playing. You mess with my name, you mess with everything I built, and I swear to God, I'm not letting that slide." The room went silent for a moment, the tension suffocating, before Mendeecees finally stood up. "Believe what you want," he said, coldly. "But when the dust settles, don't come running back saying I didn't warn you." The confrontation ended with no resolution, only more suspicion, more broken trust, and more fuel for the fire burning online. Fans who once adored the brotherhood between these men were now torn, taking sides, arguing fiercely in comment sections. Some insisted Mendeecees was innocent, that the call was edited, manipulated to make him look guilty. Others were convinced this was his true face finally revealed, a snake hiding in plain sight. The division grew deeper when rumors began to spread that the authorities themselves had been tipped off, and an investigation might already be underway. If that were true, then Kirk and Jock weren't just fighting for their reputations, they were fighting for their freedom. And just when it seemed like the drama couldn't get any darker, another twist emerged. A mysterious text message began circulating, allegedly from Mendeecees' phone, sent to an unknown number. The message read, "They took the bait. Now watch how quick they fall." Fans lost their minds. Screenshots flew across Twitter and Instagram, and the evidence seemed undeniable. Mendeecees was playing a dangerous game, one that had spiraled so far out of control that there was no turning back. Kirk sat in his car late at night, staring at the message on his phone, his hands trembling. Rashida, sitting beside him, whispered, "This is war now." And Kirk knew she was right. This is war now. The words hung in the car like smoke. In this dramatized storyline, where rumor and reality get blurred on purpose for entertainment, Kirk stared through the windshield, as Atlanta's streetlights smeared into gold streaks. Rashida squeezed his hand, and for a heartbeat the noise of the world fell away. Then his phone buzzed again, another unknown number. Another screenshot of the alleged text from Mendeecees, the same eerie line. "They took the bait. Now watch how quick they fall." A part of Kirk wanted to punch through the dashboard. Another part, the part that had survived every storm, went quiet and strategic. "We don't panic," he said, voice low. "We document, we trace. If this whole thing is fake, we prove it's fake louder than they tried to make it look real." Across town, young Jock paced the studio corridor with the restless energy of a storm. His laughter, the soundtrack of so many episodes, had left the building. "Everybody got jokes until it's your name on the line," he muttered, jaw tight. Kendra blocked his path. "Breathe," she said, pressing a palm to his chest. Jock, listen to my emotions ran high for a reason. You feel betrayed, I get it. But we can't let this spiral. We need facts. Jock's voice cracked. Facts. You heard that audio. You saw that text. Kendra didn't flinch. And you saw how easy it is to splice audio and spoof messages. If this is a setup, we outsmart the setup. Call your tech guy, the one who fixed the hack last year. Minutes later, the studio door opened and a wiry man with earbuds dangling from his neck stepped in. Name's Bite, he said, dropping a backpack stuffed with gear. Heard you got a ghost in your phone? Jock thrust his device at him. Find me where this came from. I want IPs, towers, pigeons, whatever. Bite grinned like a surgeon about to operate. Say less. While he worked, Jock's timeline lit up with fans arguing in real time. Some were defending him, others were convinced he was guilty by association, and countless more were simply shocked that Mendeecees collected. Family first. Mendeecees be the spider at the center of the web. The family was left divided. Texts pinged from cousins and friends. Lay low, say nothing, go live and address it right now. Jock typed and deleted a dozen responses, then let the phone fall into his lap. They want chaos, he whispered. We give them control instead. Meanwhile, Mendeecees stood on a balcony overlooking the city, phone pressed to his ear, the blue glow of the skyline reflecting in his eyes. You're sloppy, he said to the voice on the other end in this fictionalized drama. I told you no paper trail. A beat of static crackled. It's handled, the voice insisted. The clip will look clean. The text came from a burner. By the time they trace anything, we'll be 3 steps gone. Mendeecees swallowed hard. He looked composed, but his knuckles whitened around the railing. There's a difference between a warning and a war, he said. You promised me this would only scare them off. Now everybody's looking at me like I'm the villain. Silence. Then the voice, cool as ice. You wanted results. Results come with heat. Back at the house, Rashida refused to sit in the passenger seat of her own life. She spread documents across the kitchen island: dates, times, contracts, call logs. If they're trying to stage something, she said, eyes burning, they'll pick a place where they think you're vulnerable. Somewhere that can be made to look dirty with a snapshot. Kirk nodded. The warehouse studio, he said, dread creeping into his voice. We keep old props and boxers over there. Anybody could plant something and claim it's mine. Rashida grabbed her keys. Then we clean it. We bring witnesses. We film ourselves going in and out. We're not leaving even a shadow they can twist. They called to friends, neutral parties, plus a lawyer who'd worked with them on a brand deal. The group rolled up to the warehouse like a task force. Cameras rolling on their phones, timestamps visible. The air smelled like dust and cold metal. Every door they opened felt like a dare. Every box they lifted made their hearts pound. Kirk's breath came shallow. Please God, he whispered. They reached a corner stacked with crates labeled vintage merch. Rashida and the lawyer exchanged a look. Jock FaceTimed in, insisting on staying on the line. If anything looks even 1% off, stop, he said. Don't touch it. Call me, call Bite, call everybody. Rashida cut the tape on the top crate. Inside, neatly packed, were old shirts and posters. She dug deeper, hands trembling, until her fingers brushed plastic that didn't belong. She froze. Kirk, she said, voice suddenly thin. He stepped beside her, staring down at a sealed package the size of a laptop, wrapped in a heavy-duty bag. Fans watching later would say you could see the color drain from his face. The lawyer moved fast. Don't touch, she said. Don't touch anything. She photographed the crate from every angle, filmed the serial numbers, then called a private investigator she trusted. If this is staged, we need chain of custody, she said. We need to prove it wasn't here yesterday. Jock's voice filled the room from the FaceTime speaker. You telling me somebody put that in your box? Kirk's jaw clenched. They want a raid photo, he said bitterly. They want headlines. Rashida pulled in a shaky breath. But we walked in with cameras and witnesses, she reminded him. We didn't open a single door without recording. If anyone shows up, we show them the footage. We show them the dump. Still, the fear hovered like a shadow. Even a fake story, if loud enough, could stain a name forever. Fans are shocked. Commentators are greedy, and receipts real or not can overwhelm the truth. Bite called Jock, back at the studio, voice buzzing with adrenaline. I got something, he said. The text that's circulating. It's a clone and overlay sent through a messaging API that spoofs the sender. The origin bounces through 3 servers, but there's a location ping that slips for a split second before the mask. It blinks as Midtown, near a boutique PR firm you've beefed with before. Jock's eyes narrowed. PR Byte snapped his fingers. Manufactured scandal for clicks. Somebody weaponized your past and lined it up with this staged warehouse stunt. It's not just personal, it's professional sabotage. Within the hour, Jock arrived at the warehouse, shoulders squared, energy coiled tight. He hugged Rashida first, then clapped Kirk's shoulder. "You all right?" Kirk nodded without conviction. "We got eyes on everything," Jock said, pointing at the phones. "We narrate the truth, or the lie narrates us." He glanced into the crate, lips pressing into a hard line. "I swear, if this is who we think it is," he didn't finish. He didn't have to. The private investigator strode in, gray hair, steady gaze, an air of courtroom precision. "Name's Vega," he said. "If someone planted evidence, we'll show how." Vega scanned the room like a scanner reading a barcode. He spotted the ceiling camera in the corner. Dormant but intact. "Does that feed go anywhere?" Kirk swallowed. "We disconnected it months ago." Vega snapped off dust from the panel. "Maybe someone reconnected it." He traced the cable to a tiny wireless transmitter that hadn't been there the last time Kirk checked. Vega's eyebrows lifted. "And there's your live stream." He held up a handheld receiver. It chirped with a faint signal. "Someone wanted to watch the moment you found that crate." Rashida's fury flared. "They wanted my reaction," she said, tears gathering but refusing to fall. "They wanted me crying on camera so they could splice it into their story." Vega nodded. "If we move carefully, we can turn their surveillance into our evidence. I'll bag the transmitter, log it, dust it. If we're lucky, we'll get prints or a supply chain we can trace." Kirk exhaled for what felt like the first time in hours. Jock paced, mind racing. "Byte's PR angle," he said. "That boutique firm, they used to pitch me a shock campaign last year. I turned them down. Said I ain't into fake mess. They were salty." Phones buzzed again. This time it was a short clip, freshly posted, shaky footage of Kirk opening a crate, Rashida, gasping, the glint of plastic in a dim corner. The caption screamed, "Busted." Hundreds of comments poured in, split like a fault line. Some were merciless. Others demanded context. A few begged everyone to wait. Jock held up his phone, speaking to camera with a steady intensity that felt like a lifeline. "To anyone watching this narrative, know this, you're seeing a clip, not a story." We walked in with cameras rolling, witnesses present, and legal counsel on site. If someone wants to play movie director with our lives, they're gonna get the director's cut with receipts. The PI's kit clicked open like a toolbox of truth. Vega dusted, photographed, measured. He peeled a tiny fiber from the crate tape and slid it into a vial. "Dyed filament, likely from a custom tape gun," he murmured. "Not the kind sold at a general store." He bagged the transmitter, found a faint imprint where a thumb might have pressed. "If the print is partial, we can still cross-reference patterns," he said. "But the bigger victory is the story of the hardware, where it came from, who bought it, who installed it." Kirk nodded. "You think we're up against a PR machine?" Vega shrugged. "Or a PR machine working for someone with a grudge." Back on his balcony, Mendeecees watched the clip climb views, his face tight with a conflict that cut both ways in this fictional tale. He dialed, then hung up. Dialed again. Finally, he spoke. This wasn't the plan. The voice on the other end clicked its tongue. "There was never a plan you controlled," it said. "There was only an outcome you wanted." Mendeecees stared at the distant highway, 1,000 white lights threading the dark. Down below, a car door thudded. He turned. Yandy stood in the doorway, arms folded, a storm in her eyes. "Tell me you didn't touch this," she said, voice shaking. "Tell me this is not your mess." He opened his mouth, closed it, then chose the only truth that he could live with in this dramatization. "I tried to frighten them off a bad deal," he said. "I didn't sign up for planted evidence." Yandy's breath stuttered. "You don't get to light a match and act surprised at the fire," she said. "Fans are shocked. Families are crying. You have sons who will see this video. Fix it. Fix it." At the warehouse, Vega held up a tiny sticker he'd peeled from the underside of the transmitter. It bore a micro QR code and 3 letters, VXN. Jock grabbed his phone. "Byte. Search VXN transmitter. Boutique PR, Midtown." Byte whistled. VXN is a niche vendor with, surprise surprise, A corporate account registered to a shell company Lambent Creative LLC. Guess where their office sits? Same floor as the PR firm I told you about. Rashida's mouth fell open. So if we walk in there, we could be face to face with the people who thought they could produce our downfall. Jock's eyes lit with a dangerous clarity. Then we show them their trailer against our feature. Kirk's phone rang again, an unknown number he almost ignored. He answered. A voice he recognized but couldn't place said, "Check the side entrance camera," and hung up. Vega sprinted to the door, followed the frame with a UV wand, and found another tiny transmitter tucked behind a gutter bracket. He bagged it, then looked at Kirk with a new respect. "Someone here is rooting for you," he said. "Or someone inside their camp is spooked." Rashida stepped closer to Kirk, slipping her fingers through his. "We stay calm," she whispered. "We stay composed. We move only with proof." The night deepened. A soft rumble rose, distant sirens, or maybe just the city breathing. Jock's phone dinged with a message from Byte. A file transfer and a note. "I've mapped the spoof path. One more hop and I can unmask the human behind the server string." Jock's pulse hammered. "We're close," he said to the room, as if the walls themselves needed reassurance. "We're so close I can taste the apology posts." Vega zipped his case, eyes thoughtful. "You want to confront them?" he asked. "Or you want to hold your cards until we have a slam dunk?" Rashida, always the strategist, answered before anyone else could. "We do both," she said. "We set a meeting under the guise of a brand consultation. We make them show us their hands. And we bring the one person who can force the truth out into the open, whether they like it or not." Kirk and Jock spoke in unison, who Rashida's gaze didn't waver yet. A silence fell that wasn't empty, it was full of calculation, risk, and a thin thread of hope. Jock rubbed a hand over his face. "You think she'd stand with us?" Rashida nodded. "She stood against worse. And no matter what's been said online, she knows the difference between a stunt and a crime. She won't let her name sit next to this." Kirk looked at his phone, at the chaos of comments, at the shaky clip that tried to shrink his life too. A headline. He inhaled, deep and steady. "Call her," he said. "No cameras. No leaks. Just the truth in a room." And as the call connected, the city outside hummed like a live wire, ready to spark at the slightest touch. ChatGPT said. The line barely rang before Yandy's voice filled the room, sharp with suspicion. "Why are you calling me in the middle of this circus, Kirk?" Her tone carried the exhaustion of someone who had been dragged into a mess she didn't ask for but couldn't ignore. Rashida jumped in, calm but firm. "Because you know the difference between smoke and fire, Yandy. And right now, people are trying to burn us alive with smoke. We need the truth. We need you." Silence lingered on the other end, broken only by the faint hum of traffic behind her. Then Yandy exhaled. "I'll come. But if this is another trap, if you're pulling me into something that ain't clean, I swear I'll drag you down with it." Jock cut in quickly, desperation raw in his voice. "Ain't nobody trapping you, Yandy. We're the ones caught. You got the key, please." An hour later, Yandy walked into the warehouse with her chin high, eyes flicking from Kirk to Jock to Rashida, then settling on the private investigator Vega. "This is who you bring in. A pie?" she asked, her brows furrowing. Vega nodded respectfully. "Ma'am, I'm here to document truth. Nothing more." Yandy crossed her arms. "Truth is scarce around here. And from what I've seen online, y'all look guilty as hell." Kirk stepped forward, voice trembling with frustration. "Because somebody wants us to look guilty. Somebody put something in my warehouse, Yandy. Something I didn't put there. And then they leaked half a video to make it look like a bust. That ain't just messy, it's criminal." Yandy's eyes narrowed. "And you're saying Mendeecees had nothing to do with it?" The air went still. Rashida's voice cracked as she answered. "We don't know. But what we do know is somebody's pulling strings. And all the strings lead to a PR firm that smells like manipulation." Jock pulled out his phone, showing Yandy the text logs Byte had uncovered. The server trace, the transmitter sticker with VXN. "Look at this. That's not gossip. That's tech. This ain't just a storyline. It's a setup." Yandy scanned the evidence, her face a mask of conflict. On one side, loyalty to her husband, the man whose name had been dragged through the mud 100 times but whom she still defended fiercely. On the other, the weight of undeniable receipts pointing toward something rotten in his orbit. "If this is true," she whispered, "then somebody using him like a pawn. And if it ain't?" Her voice broke. "If it ain't, then I don't know who he is anymore." Across the city, Mendeecees sat in a dimly lit lounge, his phone vibrating non-stop as the world debated his guilt. His closest friend leaned across the table. "You gonna say something? Deny it. Go live." Mendeecees shook his head slowly. "You don't feed a fire oxygen," he said, though his own eyes betrayed the storm brewing inside him. Then his phone lit with a new message from an unknown number. "They're on to VXN. Shut it down or lose everything." He gripped the phone so tightly it felt like it might crack. "This wasn't supposed to go this far," he muttered. "This was just supposed to be a scare." His friend stared at him. "You admit you set it up." Mendeecees snapped his head up, anger flaring. "I said it was supposed to be a scare. I didn't plant nothing. I didn't order nobody to do no crates. Somebody hijacked the plan." Back at the warehouse, Vega tapped the transmitter case thoughtfully. "The fingerprints on this might take days to process. But the faster route is psychological pressure. You put the right person in the right room, they'll crack." Rashida caught on immediately. "You mean Yandi?" Vega nodded. "If Mendeecees is guilty, he won't hold up under her eyes. And if he's innocent, she'll know it faster than any of us." Yandi lifted her chin. "Then set it up. But I'm warning you, if I find out you're wrong. If I find out you're framing him to save yourselves, I'll burn every bridge you think you got left." The plan came together fast. A private sit-down at a neutral space, no cameras, no leaks, just for walls and the truth. Kirk's nerves buzzed like static. Jock flexed his fists, pacing like a caged lion. Rashida stayed steady, her eyes locked on the bigger picture. "We walk in calm," she reminded them. "We let the evidence speak. We don't scream, we don't accuse. We force the truth out by leaving no room for lies." When Mendeecees finally arrived, the tension snapped like a live wire. He walked in flanked by two associates, but Yandi's glare froze them in their tracks. "Out," she said, voice like steel. They hesitated. She didn't blink. "I said out." They left without another word, leaving Mendeecees alone in the room, staring at faces that once called him brother. Jock slammed his hand on the table first. "Why my name in your mouth, Mendeecees? Why the hell you dragging me into some fake drug case?" Mendeecees' jaw tightened. "I didn't drag you into nothing." Kirk cut in, his voice hoarse. "We heard you. We got audio. Your voice, saying Kirk thinks he's slick. I'll show him." "You telling me that ain't you?" Mendeecees' face darkened. "Audio can be cut. You know how easy that is. And texts. Anybody can spoof a number. You think I'm dumb enough to text a setup from my phone?" Yandi's eyes drilled into him. "Answer the question straight. Did you or did you not orchestrate something to make them look guilty?" The room was silent, but for the thudding of hearts. Mendeecees clenched his fists. "I told somebody to rattle them," he admitted finally. "I told somebody to scare them into backing off a deal that was about to blow up in everybody's faces. But I didn't tell nobody to plant drugs. I didn't tell nobody to frame them for real." Gasps filled the room. Rashida's hands trembled on the table. Jock leaned back, his voice raw. "So you admit you lit the fuse, and then you just walked away?" Mendeecees met his eyes, defiance and regret battling in his gaze. "I didn't. No, they'd turn it into this. I didn't know it'd go viral, or that crates would show up, or that y'all would be standing here looking at me like I'm the devil." Yandi's voice broke. "You didn't know. Mendeecees, you started this, and now the world thinks you're a snake, and they think my name is tied to it too. Do you have any idea what you've done? Any idea what you've done?" Outside the room, phones buzzed non-stop with fans dissecting every rumor, every snippet, every live tweet. Emotions ran high online. Half the audience calling for Mendeecees to be cancelled, the other half screaming conspiracy, some even spinning theories that Mona Scott herself had engineered the drama for ratings. Meanwhile, inside those four walls, the truth sat heavy like a stone. Vega leaned forward, voice calm but sharp. "So, who planted the crate? Who filmed the footage? If it wasn't you, who was it?" Mendeecees closed his eyes. "Somebody took my words and made them into a weapon. And I think I know who." The room stiffened. Jock's eyes burned. "Then say it. Say the damn name." Mendeecees opened his mouth, the word trembling on his lips. And just as he was about to speak, the lights flickered, and every phone in the room buzzed with the same alert. A new leaked clip. This one darker, longer, and even more damning than the last. The headline screamed across every screen. "The real master plan revealed." And as the video began to play, everyone knew nothing would ever be the same again. The room froze as the leaked clip loaded. The shaky, grainy video looked like it had been shot from a hidden camera in a dimly lit office. A voice unmistakably Mendeeceesable, though his face wasn't visible, only his silhouette leaning over a desk. "They'll never see it coming," he said in a tone colder than fans had ever heard. Then another voice answered, a voice none of them recognized at first, smooth, calculated, almost smug. "We plant the package, we leak the clip, and we let the internet do the rest. By the time they defend themselves, their brand is dust." The camera panned briefly, catching the edge of Mendeecees' profile, enough to spark chaos. The footage then showed hands placing sealed bags into crates, then sealing them up, then sliding the crates into a van. The timestamp on the footage, 2 nights before Kirk and Rashida had walked into that warehouse. Rasheeda, single quotes as hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my God." Kirk staggered back as if punched, while Jock swore under his breath, pacing like a caged animal. Yandi, trembling, shook her head furiously. "This ain't right. This ain't him." He wouldn't, but her voice broke, drowned out by Jock's roar. "That's you on tape, man. That's your damn voice." The fury in his words cracked the air. Fans online were just as relentless, dissecting every frame, freezing screenshots, amplifying the most damning angles. Emotions ran high as thousands tweeted, "Mendeecees set them up. Cancel him forever. This is the biggest betrayal in love and hip-hop history." Others clung to denial. "It's deepfake. That video's edited. Don't fall for it." The family was left divided, torn between trust and the terrifying possibility that the man they loved had indeed orchestrated everything. Mendeecees' face darkened, his hand slamming down on the table. "That video's not the whole story," he barked, but the room was past patience. Kirk's voice shook with fury. "Not the whole story. They literally caught you on camera." Jock's fists balled at his sides. "You wanted us ruined. You wanted me, my family, my career destroyed, just to prove some sick point." Rashida stepped forward, tears streaming but her voice sharp as glass. "We let you around our children. We broke bread with you. And this is how you repay us. This ain't just betrayal. This is war." But Vega.com, even amid the chaos, replayed the video with a careful eye. "Something's off," he murmured. "Look at the frame rate here. The audio sync glitches when the second voice speaks. And that timestamp, it's superimposed, digitally added." He glanced up at the group. "Someone wanted this to look airtight, but it's not flawless. They rushed it." Yandi seized on the lifeline, her voice trembling. "See, somebody's framing him. Somebody's trying to make him the fall guy." Jock wasn't convinced. "Or he's trying to wiggle out of the noose." He tied himself. Kirk's face was unreadable, the weight of betrayal pressing down heavier than any evidence. The phones in their pockets buzzed again, this time, not with a leak, but with an address. Byte had cracked the final server hop. The source of the doctored videos and spoofed texts wasn't Mendy's account at all. It traced back to Lambent Creative LLC, the same boutique PR firm Vega had identified. The tension in the room shifted. Jock's voice dropped, low and dangerous. "So you telling me some PR clown's trying to play God with our lives?" Rashida shook her head in disbelief. "All 4 clicks. For clout, for a story." Yandi stared at Mendeecees, searching his face. "Then why does your voice sound so damn guilty?" Mendeecees swallowed hard. "Because I gave them the opening," he admitted. "I said too much on a call I shouldn't have. They twisted it, edited it, built a whole movie around my words. I was stupid, I was reckless, but I didn't plant those crates. I didn't script this circus." The confession cut deep, part guilt, part denial, part desperate plea. Jock shook his head, pacing harder, his anger battling with a flicker of reluctant understanding. Kirk's jaw tightened. "So you lit the match, and then handed it to people who set the whole block on fire." Mendeecees didn't argue. He couldn't. The group agreed to confront Lambent directly. They marched into the glossy midtown office, cameras hidden, Vega at their side. The receptionist stammered when she saw them, clearly not expecting an entourage. Jock leaned over the desk, his smile sharp as a blade. "We're here to see whoever thought it was cute to ruin our lives." Within minutes, a slim man in a tailored suit emerged, flanked by 2 nervous assistants. "Gentlemen, ladies," he said smoothly. "What a surprise." Rashida pulled up the leaked clip on her phone, holding it inches from his face. "This you?" she demanded. The man smirked. "We don't confirm or deny clients, but let's just say controversy sells. And right now, you're selling better than anyone." The arrogance lit Jock's fury like gasoline. You think this is a joke? You planted evidence, you faked videos, you dragged my name through the dirt. The man shrugged. The public doesn't care what's fake, they care what's viral. Vega stepped forward, his voice cutting like steel. Funny thing about viral, it works both ways. You think you're safe, but I have your transmitters bagged, your server trail mapped, your fingerprints on equipment. I can hand it to the police tonight, or... He glanced at Kirk, then at Yandy. We let the world see the raw files. Expose the whole puppet show. For the first time, the smug executive faltered. His smile slipped, his eyes darting. Rashida pressed in, her voice a mix of fire and heartbreak. Do you have any idea what you did to our families? To our kids? You turned us into villains for views. You made us fight each other. You don't get to just walk away from that. The man stammered, We were hired. We didn't pick the targets. The room froze. Jock leaned forward, voice low. Then who paid you? The man swallowed hard. I can't. Vega slammed a folder on the desk. Who paid you? The answer dropped like a bomb. A name, a rival from their past, someone whose grudge ran deeper than any of them had realized. The revelation cracked the floor wide open, leaving Kirk, Jock, Mendeecees, and Yandy staring at each other with the chilling realization that they had been pawns in someone else's master game. And just as they began to process the betrayal, every phone in the room buzzed again with a new notification. Final call leaked. The full tape. The true mastermind's voice was about to be revealed to the world. The room vibrated with the chorus of buzzing phones. Each screen lit up with the same notification. Final call leaked. The full tape. For a moment, no one moved. It was as if the air itself had thickened, pinning them in place. Jock's hand trembled as he tapped the video open, his jaw tightening with every passing second. Kirk leaned over his shoulder, Rashida clutching his arm. Yandy's nails dug into her palm. Mendeecees, pale and rigid, braced himself for the blow. The video began with a time stamp, this time not doctored, not superimposed, but clean, verifiable, a clear, crisp recording of a phone call. And the voice that spoke first was not Mendeecees. It wasn't distorted, it wasn't muffled, it was chillingly clear. Make sure they get the crates. I don't care if you have to break in yourself. Kirk and Jock need to go down, and they need to go down now. The room erupted. Jock's eyes went wide, his breath catching. That ain't you, Mendeecees, he whispered, his voice breaking. That ain't you. The next voice on the tape was Mendeecees, uncertain. I only said rattle them. Man, you're talking about planting stuff. That's not what we agreed to. The first voice cut back in, furious. Do you want results or not? Because I don't half step. You came to me to fix your problem. Now either you're in, or you're in the way. Vega froze the playback, zooming into the waveform. This ain't edited, he said. This is raw. This is the original. He pressed play again, and the voice finally slipped up, naming names. Don't worry, Lambent Creative knows the drill. They'll spin it, I'll bankroll it, and when Kirk and Jock's names are mud, when their little empire crumbles, we'll finally get the stage back. And then it came the name that made the blood drain from everyone's faces. This is Stevie J, and this is how we win. The warehouse went dead silent. Kirk staggered back, shaking his head violently. No, not Stevie, he's my brother. He couldn't even finish. Jock slammed his phone on the table, eyes blazing. That snake. He was on the phone with you, Kirk, telling you to check him before he checks you. He played both sides. He played all of us. Rashida's chest heaved as tears streamed down her cheeks. All this time, we thought it was Mendeecees. All this time. Families fighting, fans turning, the world pointing fingers when it was Stevie. Her voice broke, her pain raw. He sat in our house. He looked at our children, and he laughed while he lined us up to fall. Yandy turned to Mendeecees, her eyes wet with both relief and devastation. You were reckless, but you weren't the monster. He made you the scapegoat. He used your words to start his war. Mendeecees collapsed into a chair, burying his face in his hands. And I let him. I opened the door. I was weak. And now everybody hates me for a crime I didn't finish but almost made possible. Fans online exploded. Hashtags trended instantly. Hashtag Stevie exposed. Hashtag Mendeecees set up too. Hashtag Kirk and JOC vindicated. Emotions ran higher than ever. People who had dragged Mendeecees hours earlier flooded timelines with apologies, while others doubled down, saying he still had blood on his hands. The love and hip-hop universe was shattered in real time. but Kirk, Jock, and Rashida knew what had to be done. "We end this tonight," Jock growled, his voice vibrating with rage. Kirk nodded, his jaw set. "We call him out. Public. Live. No edits, no PR spin, the truth." Rashida wiped her tears, steel in her eyes. "And we do it together. Because if they wanted to divide us, the best revenge is standing side by side." That night, the three of them went live on Instagram. Millions tuned in within minutes, the chat scrolling too fast to read. Kirk spoke first, his voice steady but heavy with betrayal. "Y'all seen the clips. Y'all seen the lies. But now you seen the truth. This wasn't Mendeecees' plan. He said words he shouldn't have, yeah, but the man pulling the strings, the man who wanted us ruined, was someone we all trusted, Stevie J." Jock stepped forward, his usual grin gone, replaced with a raw honesty that silenced the crowd. "He tried to bury us for clout. He thought he could make us villains, but tonight, the receipts speak louder. I'm not broken. Kirk ain't broken. Rashida ain't broken. We still here. And when the dust clears, he's the only one who's finished." Rashida closed with a message that cut through every rumor. Families were torn apart. Fans were left divided. But let this be the last time lies win over loyalty. "We see you, Stevie, and the world sees you too." The live ended with millions of viewers stunned, reeling, and divided yet again. Some couldn't believe Stevie J could be the puppet master. Others said the evidence was undeniable. And Stevie himself, silent. Not a word, not a post, not even a denial. His silence only fueled the fire. By the time dawn broke, the city was buzzing, the internet ablaze. And the future of every relationship in the circle hanging in the balance. Betrayal had been exposed, but the scars it left would take years to heal. Love and hip-hop would never be the same.